Think about how much we use our digital devices every day. You might not realize it, but it's tied into almost every single thing that we do. Staying connected with our friends and our family, using online banking, shopping online, mobile transactions, education, assignments, things like that. We use it in almost every aspect of our life. Now take that and imagine if every single thing on the internet was not in a language that you could understand. You may have access to that digital device, you may have your phone, but is it worth anything if you can't understand what your phone is trying to tell you?
Across East Africa, access to the digital world is shaped by where you live, what you earn, and the tools available to you. In major cities, young people stream classes, apply for jobs, and run entire businesses from their phones. But in rural regions, where roads are long, electricity is inconsistent, and mobile towers are few, connection is fragile. A single weak signal can limit a student's education, a farmer's market price, or a family's access to vital information. Economic barriers deepen the divide. Even when networks reach a community, the cost of data or basic smartphones can equal days of income. And cultural realities, local languages, trust in technology, and traditional ways of sharing information shape whether digital tools are fully embraced or remain out of reach.
The East African region is home to so many cultures. Over 160 different ethnic groups live in that region. However, their rich cultural history has been tainted by nearly a century of colonial rule. In the 9th century, we saw a lot of Muslim settlements inhabiting that area. And the coastal cities were really the biggest and most successful settlements of this area. They had the opportunities to export things like ivory, gold, and exotic pelts. A lot of their trade would happen with the Mediterranean, with Greater Europe, in the Persian Gulf and things like that. So they were able to really succeed and build a culture out of these small Muslim settlements. That's why we see so many different groups in that area today, because those settlements were spread out. There wasn't a whole lot of communication there. Most of the communication was trading up north into the Mediterranean. One must realize that with these vast amount of communities that live in the Eastern African region, there's not really one uniform way of living, no one uniform culture, no one uniform language. And that's what is so challenging about getting broadband internet out into the East African region. Broadband internet was established mostly by Western companies and Western nations. So the fact that now they're using broadband internet in Eastern Africa, they have to decipher English. They have to decipher different vernaculars of English. And a lot of those people may not speak English because of just the rich cultural diversity out there. There's no one size fits all for Eastern African digital literacy.
East African governments should require that all public health updates and all policy updates just be translated online. It's very difficult even now to find good translations or even translations at all. Most are in English, and that is certainly one of the harder aspects of life.
We can already see AI tools being used to help bridge linguistic gap forming. Historically, African languages have been excluded in digital datasets, which prevents search engines and translation tools from identifying local languages. However, there are initiatives being formed to help combat this issue, such as Common Voice, Masakin, and African Storybook. Each one of these projects aims to use AI to identify these languages and register even the most unpopular languages in each dataset.
These countries should also expand into online spaces, meaning the introduction of electricity for a lot of these communities. Access to electricity and device ownership is one of the largest reasons that this region has a lack of digital readiness. Now, one of the ways to combat this is public and private partnerships, working to increase electricity grids, introducing mobile coverage. Media outlets can support this by running positive campaigns that show how important digital literacy is for education, jobs, and community work.
One way to tackle the digital divide in Eastern Africa is to actively teach the members of the Eastern African community proper digital literacy. This starts in younger students' education curriculums, starting with teaching kids how to understand AI models, how to recognize false information, how to use the internet for things like mobile banking and finding a job, and even something as simple as writing an essay would go a huge way in educating that population. Furthermore, something that should be done is teaching people by using different forms and different methods of media. 17% of East Africans actually feel prepared for online learning, while 55% feel that they are not prepared to begin online learning. To combat this, a hybrid model can be used to teach people in the Eastern African region how to use technology. Using different forms of media can create an inclusive approach to teaching the Eastern African region how to use online digital media. For example, you could teach using radio broadcast, SMS updates, and printed materials so that those people who are familiar with those forms of media wouldn't feel left behind.
The digital divide in East Africa is not an unsolvable problem. It's a challenge that demands commitment, investment, and a belief that every community deserves the chance to connect. As we've seen, progress is already underway, driven by partnerships, local innovation, and the voices working to make this issue impossible to ignore. But closing the gap will take all of us, governments, companies, storytellers, and citizens. When connection becomes universal, opportunity does too. And the future of East Africa depends on making that vision a reality.